I came here with my family. I invested everything I had to do everything for this club. That was just like how I felt, okay, this is what it means. It means everything for me. The only thing I'm thinking about my 4 years here is positive. And hopefully everyone else thinks the same about my 4 years here. Yeah, a magic picture. My first day in central London together with Phil Giles, and I think I met Rasmus as well, Eriksen, the sport director. At the moment, I really think about this picture and this magic pen that later became a big thing. And I didn't look that happy either. It was just probably, like I said before, it's like a lot of things happening in a short amount of time back then. But obviously, I was very happy to come to this club. Maybe I didn't look that happy on the pitch, but I truly was. Yeah, this pen is a little bit magic, I think.
Whose fault was the pen?
Yeah, I mean, you told me here before that you blamed the media team, and I saved them because I think right here all the media team were in Austria for pre-season with the other boys, so we can only blame Phil or Rasmus. But yeah, Phil, we have to say Phil, it's his fault. But yeah, he don't care about those things. He's more like he's thinking about business, get good players in, and he just gave me a pen that he found. So I think it was like 2-3 weeks ago, we were sitting in the dressing room, and I was like looking around me, and almost every one of them signings that summer was sitting like next to me. And I was thinking like, all of those players came to a championship club, like no one knew who they were. Now more or less all of them is like heart of a Premier League top half team, like with I think it was Brian, Ethan, me, Matthias, Christian, David. All of us was just sitting in the dressing room at the same time, and I think, wow, this is crazy. Actually, that window that changed this club. But back then, I had no clue about none of them. David, a little bit, I played against him when he was at Blackburn, but the rest, literally no idea who they were. So yeah, that makes the story even better. Tough day. Obviously, I had already 3 seasons in Championship before this game with Leeds, and I knew that it's important to get a good start, and I wanted to have a good start with this new squad. We had a lot of new players, and we had a very good start. I remember. I think we had hit like the woodwork like 3 times. I think it was Emmy or Ollie, and we killed them almost, but we lost 1-0. And it was quite hard. I knew it was still 45 games to play, but you wanted to have a good start, and we needed that, and we lost. So I took it hard. That's how I remember it. I remember I said it to Rasmus first time I met him that day when I signed. Like, I think is the best thing is to aim for top 2, because if you don't reach top 2, there's a big chance of you then arriving in top 6. So I think we had that as a mantra, and like we took it, like we said, Thomas always said game by game, and that's how we had it. But obviously we were looking for top 2. We didn't know how good we were back then, but we knew that we had potential. This game must be Millwall at home. I remember that it was a special game with those shirts, and like I felt it was a big game before, and then we went 2-0 down. So obviously that was quite hard. But I also remember the turning point of that game, that we turned it around to 3-2, and I think we said it that was a changing moment for this club, for this team, for this squad. I felt like since that day, yeah, of course we also have some bad days, but since that day there was something. Some belief created in this team and in this squad on this day. Yeah, that was like when we came back then to play in an empty Griffin Park. That was quite special. The memories I have is actually quite dark. This memory, like the picture from Swansea, that was positive because that we went to the final. But the games before, I remember the Barnsley game, the last game of the season before the playoff. I remember it so well. That's one of the hardest defeats in my life. I had a memory like in the beginning of the game that I heard like a cheer from one of the corners. So we have 4 pubs around. I think it was like in the right corner where I was facing right corner. There was a big noise. And I was just thinking about, okay, that something must have happened in the West Bromwich QPR game. And then obviously they scored. I think they scored 1-0. Barnsley scored 1-0 quite directly after. I was running out to the bench and asking, I think it was, I don't remember who it was, but somewhere, what was the result in the West Bromwich game? And they said 2-2. And our game was 1-1 then, I think. And then we just went all in for it, because if we scored there, we would be directly promoted. They also had to win, because if they didn't win, they would be relegated. So that was a crazy game. So yeah, if they didn't score 2-1, we would probably do it. Like they had 6 strikers on the pitch, we had like 5-6 strikers on the pitch. It was just crazy, like a boxing fight. This was a good memory, because this was the one that we went to the final. Yeah, obviously a big day, something that from day one when I came to England and Leeds, and then also when I joined Brentford, the aim was to go to Premier League, and this is obviously the closest thing you can get to Premier League. Obviously special to play in an empty Wembley. Of course you want to have fans when you play a big game like this, but if we went up, you wouldn't really care if it was fans or not. We were happy to do it. The Barnsley loss was tough, but this was probably even harder. I think because we came back and played we played like 12 games in 5 weeks. It was so like compromising in a short amount of time, and then you finish it to just lose a game in the final, and also in the way how we lost it. It felt like we went into overtime and we and them was like accepting, okay, there's gonna be penalties, and then we see who's gonna win, and then they just got a crazy goal from 40 meters, and it felt like, yeah, very hard for everyone involved. This is maybe one of the saddest days in my football career when I'm looking back on it.
Talk to you about the kit.
Bob asked me the day before, he came up with some histories of the last 20 finals or whatever it was, a team with red and white stripes haven't won. And I'm back then was very superstitious. I obviously took this serious, and I said, of course, we're not gonna play in red and white then. So me, together with Bob and Christian Eriksen, we took the decision, okay, we play in blue. Because we beat Fulham in this kit early on in the season as well, 2-0 at their home stage. So yeah, if we have to blame someone for this loss, you have to blame me. I've got a lot of love from this club, so if you want to give me a little bit of criticism and blame me for something, then you have to blame me for this. That was only my decision. And then we came back, and then I think we started the season quite well, and then unlucky I got an ankle injury in October of that season, a couple of months into the season, and when it's then on empty stadiums, I just felt like I could do something here, and it was not planned. The first games when I went to follow the team, I was just try to shout and direct and help them from the side, and then a couple of games into it felt like Thomas and Brian Riemann back then, they was just every game we started, they was just looking back, okay, Pontus is here, we don't have to say anything today, we let Pontus deal with that. Obviously there was the ones on the pitch that made a result, but I think I had a little bit of an impact to help them and support them. I think also the opponents felt like, oh, this guy is here again, and we can hear his voice for 90 minutes. But obviously I wanted to be on the pitch, but this was my role as a captain to help the team, and I enjoyed it. This was the first game, I think it was 4,000, and I've said it before, this game felt like it was 40,000 in this stadium. It was the first game in G-Tech as well with fans, and it was just unbelievable. To be honest, when they scored that 1-0 goal, if we didn't have fans, I don't think we would have made it. Before the game, Thomas was also very clever with taking his famous lap around the stadium to get the fans going, and we also had one where we were together with Brian, I remember it so well, we were running around the stadium to get the fans with us, and I think they were on it from minute one, and the atmosphere was actually sick and crazy. The day after, when there was an extended highlights on YouTube, I watched it so many times, that noise when Marcus Forss, I think, scored the 3-run goal, just unbelievable. Like I said, it sounded seriously 40,000. Just crazy. So one of the biggest and the best memories I've had from this stadium, even though it wasn't full. If I said the Fulham loss in the final the year before was one of my toughest, and obviously this is one of the best football memories, but also one of the best days in my life. Because this day felt like it was my whole football career decided in one day. I took it so hard. The night before, we got a video from that Thomas and Brian and I think the media team have organized together with all our families. So we were sitting in the hotel in Wembley, and they were showing us this inspirational video from our fans, and the first one out was my wife with my daughter, and I literally just started to cry directly in front of everyone, and then everyone else came and they started to cry. So we were 20 men sitting in a room in an hotel before the game, and almost everyone was crying, and I slept very bad this night because I felt okay, if I don't make it tomorrow, I would probably never do it, and I would find it hard to then come back and go again. Everything was on stake for me before this game, and I also struggled doing it. I seriously have no memories at all from this game. I remember we had a good start, and Ivan scored the penalty too. Was that 1-0, and then Emmy's 2-0 goal, and then I remember Ivan had this shot in the post or in the bar, and I felt back then. I remember I felt okay. Oh, not again! Now we missed this one. Now probably they're gonna go up and score 2-1. It's gonna be a hard day. When the final whistle then went, it was just crazy. It's literally one of the best days in my life. Of course, I wanted to have a full Wembley with 45,000 Brentford fans with family. My family was not there either. But yeah, the first thing after the game was just calling my wife, my parents. I get a little bit emotional when I'm thinking back about it. But a big day, probably one of the biggest days in my life. I called my wife. I remember she was crying directly when she answered. Calling my close friends that were with my kids, same day I just started to cry directly. And obviously I called my parents, my mom, my father, and same day. It was a lot of emotion. I think that was for everyone, because there was so much on stake. The other players in my team were like young talents, but for me that's maybe was my last chance. That was how I saw it. Best day of my life. Just when I'm looking at it, it's crazy. I remember after the game I had one with Christian first. Christian was injured. He got injured in the warm-up, and I went out because I was cramping, throwing up. I don't know if people know, but like after 75 minutes I was cramping, felt sick because, like I said, it was so much on stake for me. So I went down. I remember Henry came up to me on the pitch and said, like, Pontus, I know it's a lot of things, but if you can't play, just go out. We have Winston Reid on the bench, his experience, so we will deal with it. We sort it out for you. So go out. I have this under control. So I said to Thomas, okay, I need to change. I can't. Like, it's too much for me. So I went out after 75 minutes into the dressing room, like started to cry. I saw Bob, like gave Bob a big hug. Went in the toilet, started to like almost throw up. Went into the dressing room again, took my phone, and was just like full of messages. This was like with 5 minutes to go. Went out again, and then I had Christian behind me, and then I was just looking back and I remember it, and it was like we were smiling, but we didn't say anything, but it was still like 5 minutes to go. And then the final whistle went, and then he's just jumping on me, and we had like a big hug. A little bit too emotional almost. And then onto the pitch, and like I said, with Henrik, I had one with Ethan as well, and just so much emotions. First with Ivan, and also have to say something about him. Like Ivan, for me, as a captain, it's so nice for me to have Ivan around. He's one of the most calmest, coolest guy I ever played with. As a person, as a player, it's strange to say he's younger than me. I only played with him for a couple of years, but it's a little bit of an idol for me. Like how he is, how cool he is, how he deals with emotions and everything. It's just, I'm full of praise of him for everything he has done for the club, but also for me. I think I took my last step as a leader when he came to the club. He's a quiet leader, but he leads with his actions, and it's just unbelievable. I remember it so well that season. He was always like, Pontus, relax, calm. I have this under control. I will sort it out for you. Like that's really how he is. I'm full of praise for Ivan. He's a top guy. He deserve all the best. Obviously, then the Matthew. I mean, he's one of the reasons why I'm here. I mean, the transfer I had to Brentford is maybe not a common one. Like it was literally me and my agent calling Brentford and asking to come. That's maybe not the most common transfer and how you do in today's football world, but that was literally how it was. Like I remember my agent called Rasmus and asked like, okay, Pontus is free. Is there like any interest from you to take him? And then it went quite quick. But obviously without Matthew, I wouldn't be here, and also without Matthew, this club wouldn't be here. So he's a legend, he's a hero. I think everyone loves him, everyone praises him, but you can't love him too much. The thing he has done for this club is just unbelievable. When you're then going to Premier League, you have a buzz after going up to Premier League, but then something else comes in. Then you start to like, okay, are we good enough for Premier League? And I, as an individual, good enough for Premier League? All those question marks comes in, And then this night against Arsenal, the first day was like, for me personal, but also us as a team, we showed, okay, we are ready for this league. I felt personal, okay, I'm ready for this league. I'm good enough. I've now showed, okay, it was only one game, 90 minutes, but I've now showed everyone else that have doubted me of how good I am as an individual, and that I can now play in Premier League. So this was, together with the player final, one of my personal biggest day in football to play against the best players and the best teams in the world in Premier League. Wolves away, a fantastic day. I think it was a 12:30 kickoff, and I think back then, okay, we had a good start, but it's a thing like a newcomer in Premier League. You went onto that bus. It's normal that you can get a good start, but it always comes like that stage of the season when then start to turn and go against you. But we almost kicked on the whole season. We had a little rough moment later on in the season, but here in the beginning it felt like, okay, we were good enough. We had something that we knew was going to work, that we believed in, that everyone believed in as a team, as a club, and on the pitch and off the pitch. And this day was a big day to go to Wolves away, which the Wolves back then were very good. And we beat them 2-0 and controlled it very well, even with 10 men the last 30 minutes, I think. A good day, big day. This is also one of the best nights in my life. Like if you just look at one game, Liverpool went up toe-to-toe in a crazy game, 3-2 game, probably one of the most entertaining games I played, and can imagine it was very entertaining for people from the outside watching it as well. We played a very aggressive football, almost like playing man-man against the best players in the world, like me playing man-man. I think it was like Salah or Mane in the middle. Like after that, it felt like the confidence of, okay, I can go and play man-man against the quickest and the best players in the world. And that gave confidence, not only for me, I think for every one of us. This was the game just before the international break, and it's always nice to end with a win before the international break. I remember I had a good header on the stoppage time, and then Wisa put the winning goal in. That was a crazy feeling. Because same there, like you go to a big stadium like West Ham Stadium and a big experienced team like West Ham were back then. Obviously a draw would be good, but when you then score a 2-1 goal on almost the last kick of the game, that creates something special. Those days, I had a lot of memories, but that was one of those days that you don't forget. That feeling it's tough to describe it if you're not on the pitch and if you're not playing. So yeah, crazy day. Last season, because I didn't score for Brentford in Championship, and then I had a lot of chances. I think I hit the post against the bar against Liverpool. I hit the face on Mendy against Chelsea. So I had some big chances that I missed. So me and everyone probably started to doubt, okay, Pontus, will he ever score for us? And when finally the day came, like a moment where I could like breathe out and show everyone that I can still score goals. And also say here, like I scored an important goal to 1-1, but the feeling was not to take my shirt off and celebrate in front of everyone. It was more like, go and get the ball, we have to go again. And then luckily we scored 2-1 a couple of minutes after, and that was a massive win for us back then. I think we reached like 20 points, like a halfway what you normally need to stay up in Premier League. So probably that says a little bit about me and how I am, how I have been for Brentford. Like it's not about me. Like I don't want to be in the spotlight. It was just okay, I scored a goal, but go and get the ball, we go again. Yeah, luckily it went well. Chelsea away. This is 2 days after I got my second daughter as well. 2 days before this, I was sleeping on a floor in a hospital when my little daughter was coming. So the preparation for this game, for me personally, wasn't the best. But yeah, obviously, what a day it was. We go to Stamford Bridge, same again. We went there very brave, pressed high, man. Like believed that we could do something. It's always funny when Thomas, before the game's like, we're playing Chelsea away, and Thomas say, I have a strong belief that we're gonna win. As a player, first thought is like, what are you saying? We're playing Chelsea away. How can you believe that we're gonna win? We are a small Brentford, but Thomas, and he just like creates something in us, and then yeah, obviously we have showed it not only here, like over those 2 years in Premier League, we showed it many times. Just praise to Thomas how he can create that belief in us, and then obviously we have a structure and a plan against everyone that we know works, especially against the top 6 teams. But yeah, a fantastic day. 4-1 against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. And then this one, a warm, hot spring day in London against Watford. At the stage, I think we had like 36 points. Felt a little bit like, okay, we are almost safe, but we need probably 1 or 3 more points to be totally safe. And I remember it when it was 1-1 in the end of the game, they were like pushing forward to try to score 2-1, but because they massively needed 3 points. I think they have like just before this goal a massive chance to score 2-1, and like missed an open goal, and then we got the free kick, and I remember I was telling Christian and everyone else like relax, 1 point here is good. Like as me as a leader, I just saw okay, 1 point, we had 37. I think that would probably be enough for staying in Premier League, and then obviously 1 minute later I'm heading in 2-1, and that's probably the only day or that day where I got like, okay, I'm in the highlight, I'm in the spotlight here. I'm the one that scored the winner that gave Brentford 3 points and more or less secured the contract in Premier League. It's not often I want to go, like I said, to take the spotlight. I obviously want to like push someone else forward to get like to be the main man. But here, yeah, this is probably the day where I was the main man, and yeah, it's a fantastic day. Will never be forgotten from me, and I think the fans will also remember this when they think about me and my time at Brentford. So, fantastic day. I remember earlier on in the season there was like a flag where it says like Brentford is my passion, says the governor, and there was a picture of me, and I always had that in my mind. Like that was really how it was. Like those 4 years at Brentford that's been my passion. You know, I came here with my family. I invested everything I had to do everything for this club, and then that was just like how I felt. Okay, this is what it means. It means everything for me to be successful with this team, with this club, and that just came out from me. And now we have it in the wall, in the dressing room, and everything. So obviously that's nice for me as well. So hopefully they keep it for a couple of years now when I'm gone as well. So they don't forget me. Always when I see like the armband, I feel like a bit. Yeah, like I said, I'm emotional, honored. Like I said, 100 games for this lovely club, and with the armband on, and now a fantastic stadium, and like Old Trafford, and then you see a player like Ronaldo. Sometimes you have to like stop and just realize what you have done. When I was 5 years old, if someone said this to me, I would almost never like believe in it. For me to play against Ronaldo, big captain in Premier League at Old Trafford, sometimes it's you have to like also stop and realize what you have done. And yeah, it's fantastic to see those pictures. It's not often when you're in the zone, you're always thinking about the next training, the next game. Now I have the time to reflect on my career and on my 4 years at Brentford. And when you look at those pictures, sometimes it's like, yeah, a little bit of goosebumps, and I become a bit emotional, and obviously very thankful and honored for the years that I've had here, and to be the captain for this lovely club. It's fantastic. I remember my first phone call I had with Thomas was like Thomas asking me a little bit about, okay, Pontus, how are you with younger players? How do you see yourself when you work with younger players? But because before in my career I never done it. Like when I was at Leeds, we had a generation with almost everyone at the same age as me, and almost in my career I never worked with younger players. I almost myself being that younger player myself, and always then looking up to others. Now instead I had to take that role to help younger players. And when Thomas then asked me like 2 weeks in, I was like very honorful. Like my first thing was, I remember it so well. So when he asked me, because I know that Henrik was the assistant captain when Rom left, I was thinking, okay, Henrik is the one that's going to be the captain. And I loved Henrik, and I'm still loving Henrik. So obviously the first thing for me was to ask Henrik, like, Henrik, are you okay? Of course it's up to Thomas to decide, but my first thinking was, okay, I have to ask Henrik if he's okay with me just stepping in front of him and take the armband. And Henrik was just, as Henrik was and as Henrik is, he was just, of course, Pontus, you are the one, you're the leader, and I'm going to support you, I'm going to help you. Yeah, until my last day here, and really did. Like without Henrik, without some of the other players, I would never be that good captain that hopefully people have seen me during those years. So yes, I've been a good leader, but I think without those players and without players in this squad, it would never be possible. From day one, and from that day when Thomas gave me the armband and like said to everyone else that Pontus is going to be the captain, everyone just bought in on it. Everyone has just like believed in me, and obviously up to me also then to go out and deliver and so on, be a leader also with actions and speaking and like act on and off the pitch, and I think I've done, but I think everyone just accepted it from day one, and that made it so much easier for me. It's not often you become captain after two weeks, so it was not easy. I took it very serious, but I think it went all right. Yeah, I just talked about the other picture when I played at Old Trafford. Obviously we lost that day 3-0 and we didn't have a chance at all. So that was a nice memory from just watching the pictures, but here instead we went, this is like 2 months after that other picture that I just watched, and here we instead won 4-0. And we were 4-0 up after like 30 minutes. That was just a crazy day. One of the best performances we have done as a team, I think, in the first half. We just ran over them, and then second half we could probably score 1 or 2 more, but controlled it very well, and it was a fantastic day. Before the game we were like a little bit, okay, maybe we should like relax a little bit because it's so warm outside, but we just went from minute 1 and we just killed them after 30 minutes and be 4-0 up against United. That was crazy. Every time I played against Leeds, I was always emotional because of the respect that I had for them, that I had 3 years there before and so on. But this day was, I remember it well, like, because for every game that went, it became like less and less, like, of course the respect is always going to be there, but it became like less and less special for every time that I played against them. It became like less and less players that I played with and less staff that I worked with. So a little bit special it will always be to play against Leeds, but this day became crazy. We won 5-2. Ivan was like just unbelievable. 3 fantastic goals and an important win. I think here Ivan became my idol, like literally like stamped, okay, he's the man, he's the king. It's strange to say that I love Ivan, but I really do. Like, he's such a guy, such a fantastic guy, a friend. I hope that we're gonna stay in contact for the rest of our lives. You can always trust me. You can always call me. I will always help and support him. This game was like, because I was out for almost like 3-4 months, and with an injury, always like you're coming back and like you're a little bit like doubting yourself. Okay, where am I? Where do I stand now? Because also the team had made very well results and we were in a good position and so on. And like I struggled, or I fighted to come back into the team because I was on the bench maybe for 2 or 3 games. Thomas took me to the side and said, like, because of the results you've done, it's tough for me to change. Even though you're the captain, like I can't just throw you in directly. And I just accepted it and I understood it. Like, but I was training hard and waiting for my moment. And then here's the prize that I got for it and the reward that I got for it. Fantastic goal, I think. A good game, almost like too crazy game for me. I like to control, especially defensively, but we gave away too many chances, if I have to say something. But it was a nice day to come back and play again. I came back those games, first Brighton away, and then a couple of days after United away, felt very good. We lost that game, but me personally felt good. I felt like I was back. Then a couple of days after that I played Newcastle. So when the physio staff looking back, maybe that became too much. Like I played 3 together with this B team game against Ukraine. Like was only a couple of days before, like 4 games in 11, 12 days. That was maybe too much. But I can only blame myself because that's me, Because I knew that okay, this is gonna be my last season in Brentford. I just need to push. I need to come back. I need to show everyone who I am so they remember me and like I want to put a good legacy in all of this. So it's only my own fault. I can only blame myself. Like if I was clever, I would probably take this discussion with Thomas, with the physio team, to like, okay, I play now 2 intense games in 3-4 days. Maybe I should rest the coming, but that's not how I am. When that moment came, when I got injured, obviously I took it very hard. Like this walk from, it literally happened just outside the bench, but this 5-10 meters walk from the pitch into the dressing room, it was literally like thousands of thoughts in my head. Obviously, the first thing is like you start to think in the negative way. Like, okay, is this, are people gonna remember me? Is this the legacy I'm gonna leave? Like I'm leaving injured and all of those things. But obviously, when I then came down and was thinking more about it, and then like obviously everything has then went out well, almost like a good end, because now this injury made me like, okay, I now gonna have like 5, 6, 7 weeks in Brentford in calm, in peace, like where I can just like reflect on all of those years, all of those memories, and all of those fantastic moments I've had at Brentford. It felt like it was supposed to happen. That was how it was supposed to be. But yeah, obviously I wanted to play the last game, beat City, and be out there on the pitch. But sometimes you can't decide. Like you can't create that magical end as you wanted. But yeah, that's how it is. Ethan, same day. It feels like he's my partner in crime. I used to say my partner in crime. Like he's a guy I can always trust. Very reliable. He's a fantastic player. Like he used to be like the unsung hero. I think I maybe got more credit than him in the beginning. I taught him everything I could, and now he's like a top Premier League player. And I personally take a little bit of credit of that. I think I helped him to develop, and I helped him to become that defender that he now is. And for me, he's just unbelievable. You can always count with him. And I'm not joking. I'm saying I think he's one of the up there this season as one of the best centre-backs in this league. I think he's very reliable, he's always good, never have a mistake in him, can always trust him. And yeah, like if you just look at like the individual duels in the battle, I mean, he always wins. His heading ability is just unbelievable. And if he wasn't that old, now he's not old, but he's 30 years old, I think he would be like a player for the best teams in the world. He's just unbelievable. In one way, we're very like similar on the pitch, but we're also very, how you say, not similar. Like I'm the one that is loud, dictating, like organizing, and he's the one that just like following me. But as a foot, like he's left-footed, I'm right-footed. We both tall, good in the air, quite quick. He has everything. He's a better version of me. So a left-footed version of me, but also a better version of me, especially now. I think he's, yeah. Why it went well, I don't know, because I think he was just from day one very interesting in learning. He like became professional quite late. So maybe when he came here, he didn't have all of those things that maybe I had. And then together with Henrik and Brian Reamer, for example, he got all of those tools, all of those things. And yeah, now he's just a top centre-back in Premier League. So I take a little bit of credit for that. I knew him when I came here, but I knew that he played in Blackburn and was a good keeper with his feet. And over those years, he has developed into one of the best, seriously, one of the best keepers in Premier League. I don't think that's too big words to say. With his feet, he's better than me. He could play centre-back or maybe even centre midfield in this team, but also as a goalkeeper. And like I talked about before, Ivan's like coolness and calmness, David has exactly the same. He's so cool, he believes so much in himself, and he just go again. I remember like the playoff final, obviously that's a bad moment for all of us, but with him, like after the game, like mistake, everyone can do it, and that's true. Like everyone can do a mistake. And David, he just bounced back. Fantastic goalkeeper, probably one of the best I ever played with. And then Ollie, another one, he was very important for us. Top professional, top guy. And Brian, I don't know what to say about him. He's unbelievable. He's like a little brother for me. I always, like me and him, we're not talking about deep things. But it feels like he's always before games, he always come, like when I go and do like hugs with everyone, the one I have with him, is always a little bit longer than everyone else. It feels like I'm hugging my son, hugging my little brother. That's like I'm getting such a warm hug from him. So I don't know if he likes me, but I think he does. Like if he like getting this little bit of calm when he's around me. That's the feeling I have. And I always have a moment when I like being a little bit angry and irritated on him because he's like sometimes a little bit too emotional. But yeah, I like him a lot, and I think he's gonna have a top career. If you not already have it.
How good were they as a trio, the BMW?
Yeah, fantastic, of course. Suited each other very well, like with Brian on the right, with his left foot going in, Said on the left with his right foot going in, and Ollie, top guy, like he could run and he was was strong in his target. He was strong in going deep in behind. He like literally had everything as a 9. And also before this season, we didn't even know that Ollie's gonna be our number 9. That's quite crazy when you think about it. So my first game in Brentford was, I think it was against Dynamo Kiev in Austria. And back then we had Ollie as a left wing and we played with Emmy as a number 9 because we didn't even know that who's gonna be the number 9. That says a lot about about Ollie. Then Ollie, after that game, then went into play number 9, and after that, we haven't looked back. And now he's a top striker in Premier League. So typical Brentford. Henrik, he's probably the one that I knew when I signed for Brentford. He's the one that Henrik I know. I played against him. You know, when you play against each other, you always have a little bit of like. Because he's Danish, like I'm Swedish, so we talked a little bit when I played against each other. So I had a little bit of like relationship. Not that I knew him, but we knew who each other were. I came to Austria and they directly took me up to my room. Obviously, he was the one opening the door and like welcoming me. We were living together, and already there we created something. Like we already from minute one were like talking about, okay, what can we do to help this team, to create like a bond in the team, to help the younger players. And I was like obviously asking him what, like I didn't know back then that I was gonna be the captain, but I was asking like, okay, what can we do to create something in here and so on. So already from day one, from almost minute one, we were talking about like how can we do this team as good as possible. And he was so important for me. And I feel a little bit sorry that he couldn't show everyone and prove everyone that he's a Premier League player as well, because I think if he was staying here last season, he would show everyone how good he was. And he's a big reason why this club are where it is. Like in a team, you always have one that you get a little bit closer to than the rest. And Christian has always been the one for me. I'm a very like a guy that like shows character, like always come with my chest out and act to be a tough guy. But with him, he has something that makes me like sink back and like not scared, but like when he say something, like I respect it. I take it serious. Like, he's the one that can like take me down to ground again. Not a lot of player and persons has that. So that probably is because he's special. And I really hope that he now can take over the armband and show what the leader and what the character. Everyone knows what a player is. Now it's time for him and time for everyone to see what a leader is. I can't give him more praise than what I already done, but yeah. You asked me before, like, who's the best player you played with? Christian is one of them best players I played with, but this guy, he's probably the best, but he also makes everyone else to perform on their best. Like I said before, he made me the best leader I could be. He just gives something to the team. It's just like when you look around, you want to have him on the pitch. Obviously because the player that he is, but also as like the character that he is. He's a leader without having an armband on his arm. Same there. He's gonna be hopefully a friend for life. But yeah, I've said everything already. But yeah, he's a top guy. He's probably the one that gave us that little bit of like kick last season. Like I said, during those 4 years I had here, we probably only had one tricky period, and that was last winter, spring-ish, when we had like 7-8 games without a win. And obviously when he came, he created something, like probably a little bit of similar thing that I created when I came to Championship 3 years before. He created, everyone else like just got 5% better. And then in the beginning he was maybe not the best, he was not the one that dominated the games, but he just lifted the other ones. And then when he then, after game by game, became better and better, in the end I think he was just unbelievable. Like the things he did with the ball and the passing range that he had, and also in training he did some crazy things. And also the journey that he came from and then came back to, like from what happened, I remember it so well. So I also played at Euros with Sweden when this thing happened with him, when he went down on the pitch. And we were actually up in the air when this happened. I think we were flying to a game in Russia. And I think one of the players in my team got like a notice in his phone, like, you know, when he's up in the air, sometimes you can get like a quick like 4G notice and then you can't see again. And someone said, like, Christian Eriksen fall down on the pitch. And no one knew really what happened. And then came down to the ground, everyone started the phone, and then there was this like ring around him on the pitch, and the same that no one really knew what happened. Obviously he went good, like he was fine, and then I remember I was texting, it must be Christian or Matthias or someone, like, who is he all right? And that when then they said that he was, everyone could like breathe out and so on. But then came back and gonna play for my team a couple of months after that, or years after that. It would be just, I wouldn't believe it back then, but the thing he did for us is just unbelievable. I can't thank him enough. Obviously, we had a bus, and I tried to convince him to sign a contract here, and I did everything I could. So he lived in a block near to Christian Nørgaard, so I met him in the summer, just a couple of days before that he signed for United, and I did everything I could to make him sign for Brentford, but obviously you can't say he's too good for us, so he was too good for us back then. Yeah, Thomas. Yeah, I mean, I can talk about this guy for for hours. Just at the start that we had, I remember it so well. So when I decided that Brentford was one of the options that I could go to, Rasmus and my agent, they organized a call between me and Thomas. And back then I didn't even know that that Brentford had a Danish coach, and I didn't even know who Thomas was. But Thomas sent me a message, I remember it so well. I said, like, can I call you in the afternoon today? And I was at my parents' house, and then I was laying in the grass in their garden and talking to Thomas for almost like 2 hours about everything. Since that day, we had like a special bond. He's a little bit of like a father guy for me. Like, I'm looking up to him so much. And also I think the journey that he has been on during those 4 years is also crazy and remarkable. He always been a top guy, like the personal relationship with his players and so on. But like the football coach Thomas and how he developed tactically and so on is just unbelievable. I think tactically he's one of the best coaches in the world. He has shown that in Premier League, what he have done with Brentford. He deserves the best, Thomas, and I can't thank him enough for everything he have done. He gave me the armband after 2 weeks. I said that's not a very common thing you do in football. So I don't have words enough to thank him what he has done for me. It's same there. He can call me in the night whenever in his whole life. I will come and help him. That's what he deserves. He have backed me up from day one, and I will always be on his side. The love that I got from those fans, they just gave me like love from minute one. Obviously it was up to me to deliver and to give something back to them, and I hope that when they look at my 4 years, that's what they think. But from day one, from my first day at Griffin Park, my first game at Griffin Park, until hopefully I'm getting something nice at the last game of the season, it's always been positive. They've always been supportive. I think over those 4 years, I always gave 100% for this club and this badge, and I hope that's what they're gonna remember me for. And I went out injured against Newcastle a couple of weeks ago. I was just devastated and felt like, okay, this is how they're gonna remember me. And everything felt just negative and bad. But I think this injury was, like I said, was supposed to happen, because now I've had 4 or 5 weeks where I could like reflect on those things to almost everyone about those 4 years, and it's just been crazy. I'm just happy, like I'm just happy that I've achieved those things with this club, with those teammates, with this staff and everyone. I wouldn't expect that when I signed for the club. Obviously I had high dreams to go to Premier League and so on, but 4 years later, being in top half of Premier League as a captain, as a leader, and leaving them to go home to my club in my heart, Malmö, leaving them in good hands. Like, I know this club now only gonna kick off in a better way. Little bit of a fairy tale, if you can say that. Obviously, like I said, I wanted to play the last game. I wanted to be out there against City in the last day, but this was supposed to happen, and I won't regret anything. Hopefully, like, everyone have the same feeling. Like, the only thing I'm thinking about my 4 years here is positive. And hopefully everyone else thinks the same about my 4 years here.